This is the second documentary I've done with producer BJ Baker. After Grover Bishop came out, we discussed it, and it seemed Rex was up next. So we got to work on it, and I knew immediately that I wanted it to be different, look different, feel different than Grover Bishop. With Grover Bishop, Making of a Legend, I decided to go with kind of an animation style. With Rex Brinlee, I thought, let's go with like an 8mm look. And I also thought that there for sure was going to be some sort of news footage, because he did make the news. You know, TV was around, had been around for a while, and I thought for sure there'd be something. So I called all the national affiliates in Tulsa. They had nothing. So I'm like, man, because we only have a few pictures of Rex, and they're basically him, being arrested or in trouble. He's in court. So I decided, well, we're gonna have to shoot a lot of live action stuff. We're gonna have to cast somebody to be Rex, and I looked through several different agencies that were based out of Oklahoma. And I found Shane, and as soon as I saw him, I went, that's the guy. That is the guy. And BJ liked it, thought he looked good. We could fix him up to look like Rex. And, as far as working with Shane goes, he's a stand-up comedian and an actor. So I was really happy that he not only took the information that I gave him about Rex, but then he kind of came up with his own stuff and his own ideas about it, which I loved. So the ideas are real to him, and he joined me on this imagination train. It has been a great experience as a director, working with the actors, not only with Shane, but all the other actors that we've had come in to play either specific people or just extras in the background. I try to be the kind of director that, because I'm an actor myself, the kind of director that I would want. The kind of director that's not like, well, I'm the director and you're not. No, I want to be the kind of director that's like, I'm here to help you. What do you need from me? Actually, I'm in the film as Rex's, or one of his lawyers, Thomas D. Frazier. I've always kind of wanted to play a lawyer, so I cast myself. So the 8mm look, we're not shooting on an 8mm camera. We're shooting on, just an HD camera. We're shooting it in HD, but we're taking it through a process where it kind of looks like 8mm. And then I'm adding some special effects stuff in the background where I can, because some locations are just not doable. The building doesn't exist anymore, permission problems, it's just a whole host of things. So, I want to try to dress up the scenery as much as I can. And like I said, we'd only have a few pictures of Rex, so reenacting some scenes was absolutely necessary if I wanted to make it fun to watch. I've tried to incorporate as many props from that era as we can. We've got a really great telephone and a few other things here and there, and the costumes as best we can. We had to get a few wigs, but hey, that's what you got to do. And as far as the costumes go, some people might be surprised by the look that some of the actors have in terms of their costumes, but I've looked at enough old film from Tahlequah from that era and pictures that it was really a working man kind of town. Not that we've changed that much, but it's not a lot of that what people would think of in the late 60s and early 70s as, oh, you mean like hippie looking stuff and everybody's got tie-dyed and it's, or whatever, San Francisco. That might be true for some of those other places, but not in Tahlequah. A lot of white t-shirts, blue jeans, hats. The hipsters call them trucker hats now. Back then they just call them, hats, ball caps. Some of those type of folks, they still wear the same kind of thing. So that might be a little weird to some people to go, they don't look 60s enough. Well, they look Tahlequah 60s. I've found that the oral history is way more exaggerated than anything that written history could even fathom. It's like every time you hear the same story, the guy's two inches taller and he shot 20 people instead of 2, and it just, the fish was this big. No, it was this big. And So usually when you bring in the written history, it kind of cools things down and reality sets in, and it's like, okay, no, this is really what happened. In the case of Rex, the oral history is not good on him at all. But when I got into looking at some newspaper clippings and just all these things that didn't make it into the oral history, the written history makes him look worse. This one is a lot darker than Grover Bishop, but that's to be expected. Grover Bishop was kind of controversial to some people. Some people have said some very bad things about Grover, but ultimately there was a little bit more fun to him, and the circumstances that he was in. He was a lawman in the bootlegger days. Now, as far as Rex goes, the man himself, he was a horrible human being. If there was a Hitler gene, if that's a real thing, then he had it. It's a guy making decisions that negatively impacted a lot of people, and in a few cases, about as bad as you could get.